after doing that, I feel... Never mind.
Show them how high it is.
I'll take it.
Dude, own it, Jetty, own it.
Hi guys.
Own it. Oh, I just stuck it to the wall.
How are you?
How? How did you do that?
I was the last
Tell me
one
walk
out.
that.
No, I'm doing it's my video. I know I'm doing. I don't care if I have no batteries.
My legs are on fire. I never want to do that again, Ron. I do. Ron, I don't want to do that again. I want to do it again. I want to do it there. I don't like heights.
I felt like a fat guy climbing up in.
It makes everyone like scared, dude. It's not that bad.
Listen to the video camera when you like stick it on the thing.
Alright, one,
2,
1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
11, 13.
14.
I got 3 pictures. One of the
Look, it's not moving. Like the screen doesn't move when I turn it. Then how's it doing that?
Who's 26? Wait a minute. Who's 26? We need to pay attention, don't we? Oh, hey, guys. This is not a joke. I do count off. Do you understand?
Dude, that's an awesome. Imagine sniping from up there. Just looking through your sky. I couldn't see the mountains.
And once he goes by, it looks like he got Alright, all aboard.
I couldn't see the mountains.
No, we all fell.
They did have different kinds of ammunition for different targets. But what we just described was probably 85% of everything they fired. So it was the most common. But they did have different kinds of ammo, you bet. Any other questions before we get on? Good to go?
Yes.
It was a tree line. It was like a fence line at the time. Yeah. So it wasn't this like you see here now. You know, obviously that's changed. All right, everybody, real quick. This has nothing to do with anything. How high do you think that tower is?
75 feet.
How do you know that?
I took a really good guess.
Well, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
Give that man an A.
I saw it on a sign.
It is 75 feet from the ground up to the platform you were standing on. Maybe a more important question. And notice how I wait your back on the ground for this one. How old do you think that tower is? It wasn't here during the battle, so it's less than 148 years.
It was made 75 years. 50 BC.
I'm just gonna show you the place.
All right. A couple of you is pretty close. That tower was built the year this became a national park. And that, 1895. How old's the tower?
1895 years old. 120 years.
It's okay, Mr. Ferguson. It's okay.
120.
Pretty close, add one.
120.
116.
It's 116 years, roughly.
I was 4 off.
So a couple of you were pretty close, yeah. I once made a mistake of telling that to a group before they went up, and you know what? They wouldn't touch the thing. So always wait you're safely back on the ground.
Close only counts in what 2 things?
Quarters and half grenade.
There you go, very
How many
good.
steps are there?
About 121, I think.
Oh, I should have counted.
Now, folks, if you look straight off to your left,
Oh, bird.
I'll tell you what, we'll clear these trees. Can you see the 2 hills over here now?
Yeah.
Okay, look up at me, guys. It's right over here. One bigger one here, little one off to the left. They're about a mile away, by the way, so you can use that as a scale for cannons. These 2 hills are very famous. They're called Little and Big Round Top. Little Bighorns out in Montana. I was just there last summer, by the way. Now, the thing about these hills is, look at me, boys. The northern battle line stretched all the way down to these hills, and here's where they ended. Bob, if you would just pause right here for a second. That's great. Now, as you look at the two hills, and I realize you really can't see this today because of the fog, so I'll just ask it real simple. Which of those two hills is more important in the story of the battle? Who says Big Round Top? Who says Little Round Top? Again, who doesn't have a clue? I like your honesty. The fact is, it was the smaller hill.
No!
Now, here's the catch, and this is what you really don't see, boys. About a year before the battle, the man who owned Little Round Top cut all the trees off of this side of the hill. He sold it for lumber to make money. And in the end, by opening up that hill, he created one beautiful
view
of the whole
place.
Yeah, you can even see the state of Maryland from up there.
Can you really?
Yes, you can. That sounds very dramatic, but it's only 7 miles down the road. But you do have a beautiful view from Little Round Top. What are you going to see from Big Round Top?
A lot more.
Nothing but trees. Exactly. There is no view from the bigger hill. So that's why the smaller one's more important. But here's the catch. The Northern Army eventually discovered almost by accident, with great difficulty, what could they drag to the top of that smaller hill? Now that's the ticket. You put artillery on that hill with a commanding view and a range of up to 2 miles. It dominates this end of the field. What would happen if the South had captured Little Round Top and gotten their cannons up there? They would have overlooked the entire northern battle line, and chances are the North would have lost the Battle of Gettysburg. So on July 2, Robert E. Lee determined to attack this end of the northern line, in part, look up at me, boys, most of you are. What critically important city sits right south behind those hills, 75 miles from here?
Harrisburg.
Harrisburg's 35 that away. Baltimore's 50 that away. What's the next one down? Washington. There we go. So in other words, boys, if this is the Union battle line, and Washington's way down here, Lee is trying to slice in between them and cut them off. Is that a good plan?
Yeah.
That's an excellent plan. Now the problem is, General Lee never made up his mind until 11 o'clock that morning to do it. So precious time is already slipping by. Well, then the 20,000 soldiers slated to make the attack are still several miles behind you. Well, to march 20,000 men in a roundabout way, dragging dozens of cannons with them, that consumes several more hours. So by the time the South actually reaches this point and physically goes into battle, it's 4 p.m. It's late in the day. Well, I want you all to appreciate something. It's going to get dark at 8 o'clock back then because they did not have daylight savings time. Very good. So if they don't fight after dark, you can do the math on this. How much time did the South have to pull this thing off?
8. 4 hours.
Only 4 hours. Is that much time?
No.
No, that's precious little. But the fact is, boys, those 4 hours were the bloodiest 4 hours of the Battle of Gettysburg. And over here in these fields and woods to your left would occur some of the worst fighting of the whole Civil War. And certainly here at Gettysburg in particular.
Sword fighting.
So when the Southern advance began, it's roughly 4 p.m. The infantry, or what's infantry?
The military.
Riflemen.
Foot soldiers, that's what I'm looking for. You all know what I mean, right? They don't ride horses. What do we call those that ride horses? They're cavalry, exactly. And of course the cannoneers are?
Artillery.
Artillery, okay. Those are the 3 basic branches. Well, Southern infantry will sweep down off of this ridge into the fields and woods in front of us and right into the history books. Now that said, you got to notice, actually it's visible here, but when we hit these woods, it's going to become even more pronounced. There's a very sudden and dramatic change in the landscape. What is it?
Chili.
No.
Trees.
No. It's the rocks and boulders. Look at them. They're all around. You'll see them once we get into the woods here pretty good. Now, I'll admit, folks, they're on both sides of the bus, but they, for a variety of reasons, tend to be a little more prominent on the right side. Were these... Hold on. Were these rocks here... No, you're good. I was talking to myself. You're good.
A few seconds later.
Yeah. Were these rocks here at the time of the battle?
Yeah.
You betcha they were. Now, you want to hear a good one? Yeah, in fact, keep looking to your right, folks. We're going to see some big rocks right over here in the trees in just a moment. Y'all know what geologists are, right?
Yeah.
What do they study?
Rocks.
And the history of
Rocks.
the Earth. Yeah, okay. Well, they claim, get a load of this, the rocks and boulders you see all around us were created during the now famous Jurassic Age of geologic time.
What?
If that's the case, what critters are out here running around when these rocks were formed?
Dinosaurs.
Dates back to the days of the dinosaurs.
Oh, how to get the right?
Now, these rocks have nothing to do with glaciers, like a lot of people assume at first glance.